Hello, it's Peter again, and welcome to another edition of the Saltwater Edge Introduction to Saltwater Fly Fishing. We've previously covered rods and reels, and now we're going to discuss backing and fly line, which is how you start to connect the system. With backing, it's a thin material, generally made out of nylon, that has a 20 or 30 pound break strength. And you can notice it's thin. You can get an awful lot of it, 150 yards, ideally 200 yards on a saltwater fly reel. And it's literally a backup for when the fishes run out the entire fly line. It'll then start to take backing off the reel. And this will give you an advantage in fish fighting, that you'll be able to retrieve this thin material, pack it on the reel, and then the bulk of your fly line sits on top of that. Okay, so there's a knot we'll teach you in a later episode to connect the backing to the fly line, which is the next component. The fly line has a different purpose. It's intended to help transmit the energy from the rod down this whole system, ultimately to the fly. So it is a thicker material than the backing we were just looking at, but it also has other properties. Fly lines come in three different versions. They'll either float, sink, or be intermediate. The floating line obviously floats on the surface. The sinking line sinks quickly, maybe 7 inches or greater a second, and is intended to fish deeper structures or faster water. And then the last one is an intermediate that settles slowly, about 1 inch a second. And that'll get you under the waves that are choppy, and like we have here in the Northeast. And that intermediate fly line is a real advantage in those situations. The floating fly line is something you might use in a flat situation for stripers, for redfish, or for bonefish. Okay. Then the next thing to look at as it relates to fly lines, is particularly intermediate and floating fly lines, is the taper. This is a picture of the first 40 feet of a fly line, and you can see this one's very aggressive with a lot of material towards the front, and that's going to load a fly rod quickly, throw the fly further in a lot of cases, but not land very quietly. Okay, it's good for bigger flies and that kind of thing. It's really a decision between distance, or here a more subtle presentation, where the longer, more subtle taper is going to deliver the fly more accurately and quieter, done properly, quieter than the more aggressive taper would. So another decision is what kind of taper, aggressive or more designed for distance or more designed for presentation. Okay. Another factor in fly lines, which is what keeps it complicated, is the core. There's two types. There's cold, which is intended for 70 degrees, 65 degrees and colder, and another called tropical, probably 80 degrees or warmer. So if the primary condition in the water you fish is cold, you want to buy a cold fly line in the appropriate weight for the rod you're fishing. If you're going to the Bahamas, that might be an 8 weight, and you want a tropical fly line to fish down there, not a cold. They won't perform very well in the opposite condition. Okay, and so when it comes time to decide on a fly line, you're looking at 4 things: the weight to match appropriately the rod reel combo, right? The property, float, intermediate, and full sink. The taper, that aggressive taper for distance, or the more subtle taper for presentation, and ultimately the core, cold or tropical. Okay. Fly lines can be an area of confusion. Certainly some of the labeling you'll find on the box can really throw you for a loop. So if you have any questions at all, give us a call or send us an email at support@saltwateredge.com. We want to answer your questions, all of them. And then if we end up choosing one to use in an upcoming video, we're going to send you a $25 gift card. The other thing I'd suggest you might find value in is going to saltwateredge.com, and in the upper right-hand corner there's a Learn button. Click that, and there's podcasts, videos, and blog posts around surf casting, saltwater fly fishing, and inshore fishing, and hopefully you'll learn something there as well. We look forward to seeing you in an upcoming episode, and we're going to take the next step in your saltwater fly fishing journey, which will be to discuss leaders and tippet. Look forward to seeing you.